And if this was Cole Hamels' last start with the Philadelphia Phillies, it was close to perfect.
Payoff pitch. High fly ball, deep center. Back toward the wall. Is it caught? He caught it. He caught it. It's a no-hitter for Cole Hamels. Herrera made the catch on the warning track, and he's done it.
Nothing will top winning a World Series, but I think this is probably, on that top list. That's right under it.
Right now from ABC 7 Chicago. Chicago Cubs baseball on ABC 7.
If you need a program, then this man can accommodate you. And, of course, families are always welcome at Wrigley Field as this family of five poses for a picture outside of the Ernie Banks statue at historic Wrigley Field. It's overcast here as the kids line the side there for today's game between the Philadelphia Phillies and the Chicago Cubs. And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Wrigley Field and ABC 7's coverage of Cubs baseball here from the north side. Here's what we have planned for you today on our pregame show. First, we'll check in with Len and JD for the pitching matchups. And, of course, this is Hall of Fame Day, so we'll have a preview from Cooperstown of the four new members that are going in, including a man who JD played with and against. And, of course, we'll hear from Joe Maddon on his rookie catcher, Kyle Schwarber. But first, this was a historic day at Wrigley Field yesterday. Cole Hamels threw the first no-hitter against a Cubs team in almost 50 years. Here's Cubs manager Joe Maddon on being on the other side of history.
Listen, I'm a professional at getting no hit. I've experienced 4 perfect games against, 3 as a manager, 1 as a coach, several no-hitters. Give the credit to him. Don't denigrate our guys. Credit Cole Hamels today. He pitched that well. He had everything going on. His velocity was up. His changeup is always outstanding. His curveball was there. We hit a couple balls well towards the end. They didn't fall. But under circumstances like this, give their guy the credit.
A tough afternoon for the Cubs yesterday. And, of course, Joe Maddon, no-hitters as a major league manager. There were a couple of them, and including 3 perfect games. Of course, remember the one against Mark Burley and the Chicago White Sox back in 2009. By the way, Joe Maddon threw a no-hitter as a high school baseball pitcher. And, of course, we'll hear more from Len and JD concerning that, and I'm talking about Cole Hamels, that is, plus the Hall of Fame weekend where 4 players are going in. Some great players that are going into the Hall of Fame. We'll have more from Wrigley Field and ABC 7's coverage of Cubs baseball. Stay with us.
To you by Mercedes-Benz, located on the web at mbusa.com. By DeVry University, different on purpose. By American Family Insurance, insure carefully, dream fearlessly. By Dodge, born Dodge. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com.
Baseball on ABC 7.
Johnson now 4,000 strikeout. Randy Johnson with his 300th career win. Pedro with 11 strikeouts.
In 1999, you talk about domination. John Small strikes out the side.
Career strikeout number 3,000 for John Smoltz.
When he first came to the big leagues, he was such a fresh-faced kid. They hadn't been able to take the bat out of his hands for the last 20 years.
3,000 hits for Craig Biggio.
And welcome back to Wrigley Field, the friendly confines here on the north side, as the Phillies and the Cubs get set to do battle in Game 3 of their series. You know, if you're not a baseball fan, then you're not getting all fired up about this weekend. It's sort of historic in a way. Yesterday, of course, Cole Hamels with the no-hitter, and today it's induction day at the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. Now, 4 men are going to go into the Hall of Fame. One of those played with and against Jim Deshaies. So let's go up to the booth and talk with Len and J.D. And J.D., tell us a little bit about your relationship with Craig Biggio.
Yeah, I was actually the starting pitcher when Craig made his major league debut back in 1988. I was a teammate of his for the better part of 4 seasons, and then was able to go back and broadcast the final 10 or 11 years of his career. He was just a very determined, gritty ball player. First-round pick. You know, I think part of the reputation of Craig Biggio is a guy that just worked his way to an elite level. Yeah, he worked awfully hard, but he was very talented, too. Made the transformation from catcher to second base with some outfield play in between. Just a tremendous hitter, over 3,000 hits in his career. First all-time in terms of doubles by a right-handed hitter.
So as we look at the other guys who will go in with Biggio, 3 dominating starting pitchers. We'll start with Big Unit, one of the great strikeout pitchers of all time.
Yeah, power arm, obviously menacing. The demeanor on the mound was very intimidating. He got over 97% of the vote. First ballot Hall of Famer. That's the 8th most all time. Pedro Martinez didn't quite have the longevity or the wins that Randy Johnson did. But boy, he had a stretch there where he was Koufax-like in his dominance, a 3-time Cy Young Award winner. John Smoltz, also a first ballot Hall of Famer with Johnson and Martinez, and kind of a hybrid career. All that success as a starter, and then turned himself into an elite reliever as well. Very deserving. What a great class it is this year.
And to follow up on John Smoltz, now remember he's from Lansing, Michigan. He grew up a Tiger fan, was drafted like the 22nd round. He got traded as a minor leaguer to Atlanta for Doyle Alexander, who was a big part of the Tigers' American League East championship team in 1987, and then Smoltz went on to have that great career with the Braves. So pretty good scouting by the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, indeed. And there's some general managers wanting some mulligans with that deal. And Pedro Martinez traded twice in his career, from the Dodgers to Montreal for Delano DeShields, and then from Montreal to Boston for Carl Pavano.
So we got to talk about Cole Hamels yesterday. Obviously, history made here at Wrigley Field. The first no-no pitched in this ballpark since Milt Pappas in 1972. First time the Cubs had been no-hit since 1965. At what point, J.D., did you think to yourself, this could be the day?
Well, not to be too indelicate here, but I ducked into the restroom about the 4th inning, and I was talking to one of the Cubs employees, and I said, we might see a no-hitter here today. And he said, man, we got 5 innings left. I said, yeah, you're right, but this guy's stuff today is really special, and ultimately a big moment for Cole Hamels. Not a Hall of Famer, but a Hall of really good, and that hat and glove will probably end up in Cooperstown from that effort yesterday. 13 punch-outs, just 2 walks. He was a Dexter Fowler headache away from a perfect game, perhaps.
Yeah, and Hamels could be traded before his next scheduled start, so what a way to go out if, in fact, that does happen. Let's get into today's Cadillac pitching matchup. So you go from the veteran left-hander Hamels to a right-hander making just his second big league start. His name is Aaron Nola, and he's one of the top pitching prospects in the game.
Yeah, 3 picks after Kyle Schwarber in the draft last year, just 22 years of age. Great expectations for Nola and the Philadelphia Phillies. Really good his first time out. Good life on the fastball, outstanding command. And now Jason Hamill, he's in the role of stopper here today after dropping the first 2 games of this series. He really needs to step up and deliver because the Cubs are just having a hard time, not just being no-hit yesterday, but a pretty prolonged stretch here where they haven't been doing a whole lot offensively.
Well, Jim Rose, if you wonder about baseball and how weird it can be, the Phillies are the worst team in baseball record-wise. They're 7-1 since the All-Star break. Go figure.
And the irony in Jason Hamill's yesterday, Cole Hamill's yesterday, is the fact that over the last 2 games, his ERA has been above 19. So go figure that out, right, guys? Thanks, Len. Thanks, JD. And we'll be back with more from you guys later on. And, of course, coming up in our next segment, Joe Madden talks about his young catcher, Kyle Schwarber, here on ABC7 pregame show for Cubs baseball. Stay with us.
By Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. By Southwest Airlines, book your low fare now at southwest.com. By Toyota, see where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. And by the Bob LaCourcio Auto Group, you're going to like buying a car this way.
Welcome back to Cubs pregame here on ABC7. This is Ferguson Jenkins, pitched 167 of his 284 victories as a Cub. And today, Ferguson Jenkins walking out to the stage at the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York, as the ceremonies there continue. You know, Joe Madden wants this 2-game losing streak to stop. They're somewhat superstitious. The Cubs did not have batting practice today, so maybe that is going to help them as well. One rookie who could help the Cubs win today and perhaps go a long way for the rest of the season is their rookie catcher, Kyle Schwarber. Here's the manager, Joe Madden, on how his rookie catcher can improve.
Yeah, it's really nice to get Schwarbs involved. He's been swinging the bat well. He's doing a great job learning his craft. And like I said, I think it was yesterday or the day before, man, we're planning on playing an extra month. So, these young guys, you're seeing it right now. You're seeing young guys struggling a little bit, and as you keep them fresh mentally and physically, they have a better chance of playing well in that last month. He's incredibly dogged about the whole thing. He really gets after anything that he wants to do. He sits with Borzello when he's not playing. He's wide-eyed. He knows. He asks good questions. He's in there, man. He's definitely engaged mentally, and that's what he has to be. Physically, he's gotten better too. I mean, physically they've worked through some issues with his receiving and everything. He's done a really good job.
Kyle Schwarber this season, 3 games at Wrigley Field, 12 on the road. This is going to be his first start here. He's been hitting the baseball good early on, has struggled the last couple of games of late, but he is a short, compact man with a great swing, and hopefully he'll be great here at Wrigley Field for years to come. The Cubs and the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies have the worst record in all of baseball. Thanks for watching ABC 7's Cubs pregame show live from Wrigley Field. Coming up next, the Cubs and the Phillies, the lineups in the first pitch with Len and JD. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and a great game, everybody.
Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
Let's take a look at our Mercedes keys to the game. Obviously, you have to turn the page after being no-hit yesterday. Got to try to find some offense and be ready to hit. That speaks to the fact that Aaron Nola, the rookie right-hander going for the Phillies today, by reputation at least, is a guy who's usually around the plate, has very good command, so maybe you can ambush him early and put a little pressure on a kid making just his second major league start.
Let's check out the Phillies offensive lineup, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. This is their batting orders. Cesar Hernandez, switch hitting second baseman. Odubel Herrera, 2 big catches on the warning track late in the ball game to preserve the no-hitter. Franco Howard, who had the game-winning home run, a 3-run shot. Cody Ashe's in left. Freddie Galvis, the shortstop. Dominic Brown's in right. Cameron Rupp, the catcher, and young Aaron Nola, the pitcher.
Cubs defense brought to you by Toyota. Pretty much status quo out there as Coghlan, Fowler, and Soler cover the outfield. Brian Castro, Russell Rizzo around the infield, and change of note. Kyle Schwarber back behind the plate today, and he'll catch the veteran right-hander Jason Hamill, 32 years of age. Another outstanding year. 5 up, 4 down, 2.82 the ERA for Jason. He's pitched to a 2.20 ERA through 8 starts at Wrigley this year. been bothered a little bit by a hamstring issue, so he had a lot of time prior to his last start, including the All-Star break. So Joe kind of kept a close watch on him last start, pitched just 5 innings, kept him to under 100 pitches. He says he's good to go, and we'll just keep a watchful eye on him, see if there's any indications that hamstring is barking a little bit.
First pitch weather for today brought to you by Four Seasons Heating and Air Conditioning. For all the right reasons, call 866 Four Seasons. Actually very comfortable. It's overcast. A slight chance of rain. Wind blowing ever so slightly out of the east off the lake. Jerry Davis, the crew chief, gets the plate. Will Little is at first. Tony Randazzo at second. And Phil Cuzzi, the home plate umpire for Cole Hamels' no-hitter, is at third. And we are underway. Ball 1 on Hernandez.
Hernandez, switch hitter, good speed, a keen eye. He'll take his walks. He's got a nice on-base percentage.
(2-0), way high again. 3 balls, no strikes. Said it yesterday. A lot of times in this game, it's not who you play, it's when you play them. Had you not seen the records going into this weekend, you'd have said, well, the Phillies are probably in contention in the East. And they've won 7 of 8 out of the All-Star break. All of that true, I guess, except for the first part. They're not in contention. They are 27 games under 500 in last. And a swing and a miss, 3-2. As Hamill gets back into the count. Phillies the only team in baseball with a winning percentage of below 400. Fouled back.
Well, by winning the ball game yesterday, they've won this series. Just the second road series win for them all year. But over the last 8 ball games, as Len mentioned, they've been good. Scoring better than 4.5 runs per game.
On the hands, a cracked bat, little roller, and no play for Bryant. Infield hit. Ball just nudged past Hamill, and Hernandez is on. That's his 4th hit in the series.
If pitchers had their way, there would be a ruling where you could overrule this and say that ball was so weakly hit, he's out. I don't care what happens. That one's never been brought up to the Board of Governors. But a weak knock, but a knock nonetheless, and a threat to run is Hernandez.
Herrera with the 2 warning track catches that were both adventures, including the final out. He bunts foul out of play. 67 games in center field in the big leagues. The only position he's played this year with the Phillies. But he had made a grand total of 15 starts in the outfield in the minors. Naturally a middle infielder. That was a catch against Ross in the 8th. And in the final out, mostly a second baseman coming up through the Texas chain. Juan Samuel, their outfield coach, said Herrera almost gave him a heart attack on that final out. And right before the Ross fly ball, there goes the runner. Hernandez, swing and a miss. The throw not in time. Stolen base. Hernandez is 14th. Herrera had forgotten his sunglasses before the bottom of the 8th, so he had to retrieve them from the dugout. He had quite an eventful day out there.
Yeah, well, 2 things. Inexperience for sure, and then the wind. I mean, you look at the way he was tracking Ross's ball and then the adjustment he had to make. If not for the wind, his ball flies out, and the same for Bryant. So Bryant might have had 2 yesterday.
2 strikes on him. Wide open stance. In the dirt.
Do you think they call him Odubel Young again, McDowell?
Ooh, I like it.
We'll play on old Chris Berman's, not Herrera, not McDowell. It was Odubel Young again, McDowell back in the day.
1-2 from Hamill. Tomahawk into right, and just like that, the Phillies will grab the first inning lead. And Herrera will have a triple.
They've got some intriguing young players, especially these two guys, these three guys at the top of the batting order. Franco's having a monster rookie year. He's due up next. Hernandez and Herrera. We haven't seen a whole lot of them, but they have plenty of speed. This guy, a high average hitter in the minor leagues, got on top of that high fastball from Jason Hamill, and Phillies jump out to an early lead here. Big old leg kick. Got some choppy steps around second base.
Infield back. Franco to deep left. Coughlin can only watch it land in the bleachers. That's a 2-run homer for Mikel Franco.
Mulligan time. Wow. It's ironic on our Mercedes keys to the game. I said be ready to hit, and I was talking about the Cubs versus the youngster Nola, but the Phillies come out and ambush Jason Hamill here, albeit a very weak hit to get things started. And two very good swings of the bat. Triple Herrera, home run Franco, his 11th. And this kid's making some serious noise with his bat. Definitely a Rookie of the Year candidate.
National League Player of the Month, or Rookie of the Month for June. Now Ryan Howard, still nobody out. 3 batters in, and 3-0. Slider, not in an ideal spot, but more of the get-me-over variety. 1-1. Howard, a big day yesterday. Double, a game-winning 3-run homer. He walked as well. Cody Ashe on deck. Front, he pulled it foul. So young Aaron Nola will have at least a 3-run lead. He takes the ball for his second career start. Looking for his first win.
Well, based on that story we talked about a while back, he should be vulnerable, right? The whole half of the first inning, if the road team bats a long time, the statistics bear out that the visiting pitcher has struggles.
Don't want to test that too much, though.
No. I guess the idea would be to pitch a long top half of the first inning but not give up any runs.
Right.
Well, Jason's had a handful of starts this year where he's had a hard time getting on track early. And he's a big, tall guy, and sometimes the mechanics break down on him. He'll start to fly open a little bit and leave pitches up in the strike zone. The slider won't have a lot of bite. I don't know if the hamstring is bothering him at all. I'm sure he would tell you he's fine.
Ashe with 2 huge run-scoring doubles in Game 1. And a strike. One will get out of play. Fans still settling into their seats. He's jumping all over Jason Hamill.
Jason has not won in his last 7 starts. It's going back to June 6th when he picked up a win at Washington. But in that stretch, he's been good. He's got a sub-3 ERA.
1-2. Just off the plate.
Really been remarkably consistent all year long.
Popped up. Schwarber will not have a play behind the dugout.
Just showed you those June-July splits on Jason. His worst month in terms of a monthly ERA was April when he had a 3.55. May, June, and July ERAs below 3. 2.57 in May, 2.80 June, 2.08 in July. Well, and rising with today's action.
Curveball missed. Jason Hamels just trying to find a pitch that's locked in here. He's missed the strike zone badly on several pitches, and a couple that have found the zone have been whacked. It's not a good combo,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, and I think the old, when in doubt, if you just throw a good down and away fastball, try to get on top of a two-seamer and throw it to that outside third of the plate. And that's what he tried to do, and threw it up and over the middle of the plate. It's the nature of it. Sometimes you can't throw the ball where you want to. Anything else in sport, it's a timing issue. You're a little bit quick with your delivery. You hang back a little too long. Release point fluctuating.
High fly ball. This should be the first out, as Dexter Fowler makes the grab.
I suspect there's a fair bit of sarcasm amongst those cheers without number one.
Freddie Galvis, the shortstop, switch hitter. 3 hits, 3 runs so far this weekend. Curve for a strike. I think what that tells you, we've seen a handful of curveballs here in the first. The slider's not quite there yet for Jason today, and that's probably been his best pitch this year.
And that's obviously a pitch he can't give up on. It's his best pitch, most effective pitch, one he throws a whole lot.
Backhanded play, Rizzo. They'll have to tag Howard, and Castro will. They'll go 3-6, double play to end the inning. Phillies get 3. Cubs coming up in the first. Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. The offensive lineup today brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Fowler, Schwarber, Bryant at the top. Rizzo, Soler, and Coughlin in the middle. Castro, good numbers in his career against the Phillies. Hamill and Russell rounded out. And here's Aaron Nola, missing the outside corner. Second major league start, first ever on the road.
One run he gave up was to the opposing pitcher. Home run.
That was only run in that ball game. Nathan Carnes, the Rays. 6'2", 200. Just 22 years old. Fowler without a hit in the series, but he's walked 3 times, including twice yesterday. The only Cub to reach against Cole Hamels.
Sinking action on that two-seam fastball. He'll sit comfortably around 92, max out around 94. He's got a little life up in the zone when he elevates. Also throws a curveball and a real good changeup. There's a changeup there. So 7th pick in the draft last year. This year splitting time between AA and AAA. A 10-4 record with a 2.39 ERA. At LSU, two-team All-American. Two-time All-American, I should say.
Well, that means two teams. Got it right. I like that better. Unique. A 22-year-old is on deck. Kyle Schwarber. He walked him.
There's something fitting for a guy by the name of Nola pitching at LSU.
Yep. Which is in Baton Rouge. So.
Yeah, tweet us. You go to Ralph and Calcou's there and you get yourself some good profit.
His hand for Schwarber.
So this is fun. These guys were 3 picks apart in the draft last year, and here they are in the big leagues, squaring off. Teammates at the Futures game in Cincinnati.
Way to third. The throw cut off in the middle of the diamond. They've got him cornered with nobody out. There will be no no-hitter today.
Kyle Schwarber hit the ball hard. Imagine that. Every time up, it seems. Yeah, talking about being ready to hit. First pitch swinging. Belly button high fastball. Whack. Talking to the Phillies broadcasters, they talk about how composed this kid was in his first start. It's a little different creature here on the road at Wrigley, packed house.
Bryant. The final out of the game, but he gave it a ride. Deep to the warning track in center. By the way, Anthony Rizzo did reach on a fielder's choice yesterday, but that doesn't count because he made an out. So Fowler technically the only Cub to reach. In other words, had Fowler not been on base, Rizzo would have been out. High to right. Brown back on it at the wall. He's got just enough room, and it'll be a sacrifice fly. Instead of a 3-run homer, he just missed one. 3-1.
Well, the wind got him probably twice yesterday. And this time a bid for an opposite field home run, but boy, that's a good swing. That's a good sign. A deep drive to left yesterday, straightaway center. This time he drives it to right.
So they're on the board. Here's Rizzo. Just 4 for 29 his last 7 games. He's due for 1 extra base hit during this stretch.
Let's take a look at the Phillies defensively. Ashe, Herrera, Brown in the outfield. Franco, Galvis, Hernandez, Howard third to first. Rupp, a rookie behind the plate for the rookie Nola. Very young club they're running out there, aside from Ryan Howard.
Hitters count here. Schwarber at first, a run in, 1 out. Pretty good pitch, didn't get the call. 3-0.
No doubt the big fella's got the green light here.
That'll be 2.
This is bad luck. Gotta be kidding me.
3-0, Rizzo lines into a 4-3 double play. Will end the Cubs first. They get 1 and trail by 2.
Brought to you by Marvel's Ant-Man, now playing in theaters and IMAX 3D.
Big crowd here today, and hoping the Cubs can come back after Jason Hamill gave up 3 in the top of the first inning. Cubs answered back with 1 as Dominic Brown fouls off. Slider misses low. Yeah, you know, Chris Bryant, looking at some of his numbers here lately. Picked up a sac fly, that deep drive to right. Coming in, Chris, last 31 games hitting .179. But he's got 11 extra base hits, 18 walks, 5 steals. I think his defense has improved. There's a soft liner caught by Russell, and a lot of outs he's made lately have been, you know, outfielders with their backs against the wall.
Yeah, there was a time there it seemed like nobody in the Cubs was backing up any outfielders, and I think it's just a positive sign to see him hitting the ball hard, center field and from right field. When he struggles, to me, he's pulling off the ball, rolling over, and he'll still get some hits that way by hitting, you know, line drives, top spin line drives to left or through the infield on the left side. But I think the damage is going to come when he's more middle of the field other way with that approach.
Here's a catcher, Cameron Rupp. We got to give our good buddy Rich Rupp a shout out. The Cubs clubhouse staff. Cameron, no relation, got the start on Friday. Rich said every time we mention his name, he'd get a text. That ball ripped into center. And Cameron Rupp just snapped an 0 for 13.
Well, he might be the hardest hitting Rupp in the ballpark, but he's not the best looking.
Here is pitcher Nola. He bunts foul. He had a hit in his big league debut. Don't know if he can hit, but if you add up his minor and major league numbers, he is 3 out of 9. That's pretty good. Very tiny sample size. Bryant already way in as Hamill will throw to first. Kind of interesting. Rizzo was a couple of steps off the bag. Remember the balk call the other night in Cincinnati that got Joe Madden kicked out of the game. Hamill to second, and they get the lead runner. Castro covering.
Hey, Cub fans, let's go. Summer is here. The Cubs are playing exciting baseball, so don't miss your chance to catch a game here at Wrigley Field. The Rockies are in tomorrow night for a 3-game set. Tickets are still available for all 3 of those ball games. So visit Cubs.com today.
And it's been a rocky season for Colorado. Last place in the NL West. Cubs will play the 3 last place teams in the National League. Phillies, Rockies, Brewers coming up. One strike on Hernandez.
Brewers have been a lot better since their horrific start.
And that'll end the inning. The bottom of the second, 3-1 Phillies.
ABC7.com. It's brought to you by that man, Jeff Vukovich, your local nationwide agent, serving the area for 37 years. To join the nation, contact Jeff at jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side.
Bottom two, 3-1 Philadelphia. Soler, Coghlan, and Castro. First pitch swinging. Herrera makes the play.
A sweeping breaking ball there from Nola. Soler, strikeout victim 3 times yesterday. He was very frustrated, snapped the bat over his legs after the final one.
Chris Coghlan will dig in. So let's follow up on yesterday. Cole Hamels pitched the first no-hitter in this ballpark since '72. First no-hitter against the Cubs since the Koufax perfect game in 1965. First no-hitter against the Cubs at Wrigley. Jim Maloney, August of '65. 13 strikeouts, most by a Phillies pitcher dating back to 1906. Carlos Ruiz has tied Jason Varitek for the most no-hitters caught in Major League history with 4. Overall, the 290th no ever pitched. John Lester threw one with Boston. Joe Madden has witnessed a bunch of them. 3 perfect games as a manager and 4 total if you go back to his Angels coaching days, and he threw a no-hitter in high school. That's a strike on Coghlan. Also, the first pitcher with an extra base hit while throwing a no-hitter. Hamels, remember, doubled late. Since A.J. Burnett, 2001 in San Diego. Yes, the Hall of Fame asked for his cap. He said that's fine, but it probably smells bad. It goes 3-1.
Yeah, you saw him yawn there. I imagine he got a whole lot of sleep. So highlighted there the 3 perfect games.
All against Joe Madden teams.
What is it? Has been what, 18 perfect games?
Yeah, history. That's a fair amount of
yeah.
Yep. Last 11 by National League teams. The last pitcher to throw a no-no for the team with the worst record in baseball. This late in the season, Joe Bush of the Philadelphia Athletics, 1916.
Joe said he got a text from Mickey Hatcher after the game yesterday saying, have you caught Koufax yet?
Astro bounces foul. 2 pretty quick outs. Soler and Coghlan. So at this point, it's been an 8-pitch inning. Look at a 9-pitch second inning for Nola. That'll be his first strikeout. 2 on the books. Phillies 3, Cubs 1. By Mercedes-Benz. Check out our exciting model lineup by visiting your local authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer. And visit us today at MBUSA.com. Trying to settle in after giving up 3 in the first inning. It's a strike. RBI triple and a run for Herrera in that first inning. We'll have the details coming up, but Johnny Cueto is now a Kansas City Royal.
That deal was reported yesterday, but there was a medical issue with one of the Royals going the other way, so they must have either reworked the deal or had a second opinion. The Royals had sent Ventura out. He had really been struggling. Then Jason Vargas got hurt. So a little sense of urgency there for the Royals. And they've got themselves a good one.
Full count, 3-2. Franco and Howard to follow. Got it. The best location, but it worked.
Now he's still fighting it a little bit, leaving a lot of pitches up. Slider not sliding much, but got the swing through from Herrera.
One to Franco. Comebacker. And Hamill makes the play.
Cub fans, don't miss your chance to catch the best matchups in baseball. Reserve your place in line for history in the making. Join the season ticket holder waiting list. It's easy. Free to register. For details, visit Cubs.com/waitlist.
Last 2 days, this has been the Ryan Howard of old. Really good contact yesterday. Hit the game-winning home run. He added a walk. Walked in his first at bat today. And this home run, number 351. And the curveball from Arrieta. He's second among all Phillies all-time in home runs. Number one among left-handed hitters, 197 behind the all-time leader. That's Mike Schmidt, 548.
I think that Ryan Howard might draw some interest from an American League club as a DH. As the trade deadline nears, but the Phillies would have to eat a whole lot of money to make that happen.
Yeah, he's got whatever's left on his deal this year. I think $25 million. $25 million next year, and then a buyout at 10. 2017. Soler will have room in right center. Circling, he's got it. And the Phillies go down 1-2-3 for the first time today. Goes #1 news, ABC 7 Eyewitness News in the morning. Weekdays 4:30 to 7 a.m. with Judy Sue and Terrell Brown. Hey, happy 45th winning anniversary, Keith and Terry Schramm. Keith, our good friend who looks in the Cubs press box.
I wish I'd known. I would have brought flowers.
Well, we're here the next 3 days. Took a day late's a big deal. Hamill lines out. So the Royals getting one of the best in the business. Cash considerations as well. Brandon Finnegan, John Lamb, and Cody Reed.
Finnegan, the kid that pitched for them in the postseason last year out of the bullpen?
Yeah.
Royals with a 6.5 game lead over the Twins coming into play today in the AL Central, so they're in a comfortable spot. They're also in a situation where they're in go for it mode, and to add an arm like Johnny Cueto, it could prove to be a big deal. So sense of urgency, right, for the other buyers around the game. As Cashmere is off the books going to Houston, and now Johnny Cueto.
Herrera's got this one.
Mike Leake will probably be one of the next to go.
Good 20 rows up in the bleachers. 3-2.
He worked the walk first time up. This time he ambushes him. Jumps on that first one. 9th home run of the year for Dexter. Like they're trying to run a two-seam fastball down and away. It's down, but in a little bit. There's your Toyota home run cam. Nice leisurely trot around the bases for number 24, and we've got a one-run ball game.
Yeah, it's kind of ball. It really won't be affected by the wind. Didn't hit it terribly high. Hit it really hard.
His first since June 21st in Minnesota. That was the grand slam.
3-0 on Schwarber.
Anybody in the mood for back-to-back?
Sure, why not? Schwarber hasn't played much in this ballpark. He's 1 for 4 here at Wrigley. As he draws the walk.
Big loud swing of the bat. Maybe scared Nola out of the strike zone a little bit. We're up out there to talk to him. Say, hey man, it's one swing. Don't get tentative on me.
Sac fly for Chris in the first. Deep drive to right. There goes Schwarber. Swing and a miss. Throw in time. Hang on 1 second. Hang on 1 second. Phillies are heading off the field, but they're going to be stopped as Joe wants to find out if he should challenge. Quick guess is no challenge. Still waiting.
Yeah, it's really tough to read because if he kept the tag on him, there was that moment where Kyle popped up off the base. So even if he beat the initial tag, he might have still been out.
No challenge by Joe Madden. So that will end the inning. Fowler with a home run, and it's now 3-2 after 3. Is the 25th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Great to see fans with disabilities being able to celebrate with baseball here at the best ballpark in the game. So they're within a run, 3-2. As Hamill tries to continue to shut the door on the Phillies after giving up the 3 in the first. Back by Ashe. George Herbert Walker Bush, all Ivy League first baseman at Yale, signed into law. The Americans with Disabilities Act. July 26th. 1990. Two balls, 2 strikes. And the count remains that way.
Yeah, the former president remains a huge baseball fan. We used to see him routinely at Minute Maid Park. Suffered a fall here recently. Spent some time in the hospital. I think he's 91, 92 maybe.
Mets lead the Dodgers 2-0. They're in the 8th inning. That's a Zach Greinke game. His scoreless streak ended in the 3rd inning. So got him to 45 2/3. Deep right, and Soler will have to play the carom, but it caroms off to the right as it hit in the well area, and Ashe will have a 3-bagger. Most outfielders expecting that ball to hit the wall and bounce back toward home plate, but because of the well, it actually kicked to the right. So it turned a double into a triple.
Yeah, one of the funky things about Wrigley Field, those deep wells in the corners, it's just impossible to read or anticipate that ball kicking off in that direction. Second triple of the game for the Phillies. Herrera had an RBI 3-base hit in the first.
Two triples today for the Phillies. First time they've hit 2 in a game this season. Infield back except for Bryant at third. There's the Greinke streak, and I believe Kershaw's at like 29.
Sounds
right.
right.
He goes
yeah.
into his next start. Greinke was supposed to pitch Friday night and had it moved back a couple of days due to the birth of his first child.
He'll always be able to hold that over his kid's head. And if you didn't come along and when you did, I would have stayed in rotation. Who knows? And the irony, he was scheduled to pitch against Jonathan Neese that night. Neese did take the start for the Mets. And he got roughed up, and because he was kind of on hold because his wife was getting ready to deliver, and she gave birth that night.
Boy or girl? Do we know?
I don't.
Just because if it was a girl, it might be confusing. It would have been his daughter, not his niece.
Yeah.
Although she would be a niece.
Somebody.
Gets confusing.
Strikeout would be good. Nobody out. Joe keeps the infield back. Feels like his guys are capable of doing some damage today against the youngster Nola.
Swing and a miss. So that's a big first out.
Yeah, now the math changes a little bit, and he might bring him in, and he's going to. Hamill needed the strikeout, and he got it. Curveball.
Drawn in infield. Here's Brown. Rolls it foul.
Brown has spent some time in the minor leagues this year. He does not have a ton of major league at bats, but has yet to go deep. This is a guy 2 years ago who hit 27 home runs and was an all-star and looked like he was on his way. Really good player, but he's gone through some tough times.
White Sox trying to sweep the Indians in a 4-gamer in Cleveland. They have a 2-0 lead in the bottom of the 7th, outscoring Cleveland 26-4 so far in the series. Schwarber faked to throw to third as Ashe had to dive back in. Three and one. If he walks, and not the end of the world, it would set up a double play. You've got 8 and 9 hitters coming up, Rupp and Nola. Rizzo got a glove on it or not. He may have deflected it. Brown on his way to second. He's got a run scoring double, 4-2.
The soft line drive last time from Brown. This time he rips that ball off of Anthony's glove because it ended up in foul territory, but off the end of his mitt in fair.
Yep.
He's got a piece of it. And so not only does he get that run home, but he gets himself into scoring position as well. Really swinging it here this weekend, and pretty impressive so far today. Five hits, 4 for extra bases.
It is a weird game, this game of baseball. The Cubs went 7-0 against a wild card playoff contender, the New York Mets. Trying to avoid starting their season series 0-3 against the last place Phillies. Another ball hit right on the button. That'll split the gap in left center. Brown scores, and they have their 3-run lead again.
You thought perhaps as they got down towards the bottom of the order that Jason might be able to get out of this inning without giving up anything. Instead, it's another crooked number going on the board. I wonder if Joe's going to start somebody in that Cub bullpen. Banging it, haven't they?
And of the 4 non-extra base hits, I bet a couple have been infield hits. Hernandez led off the game with 1. One and 2 on the pitcher. Ooh. Side.
Look at our pitch tracks. Indeed, it was off the corner.
Tapper up along third. Foul.
Friday, September 11th, the Zach Brown Band is coming back to Wrigley Field. It's their Jekyll and Hyde tour. Tickets are on sale now at Cubs.com/Zach Brown Band. Don't miss your chance to see this 3-time Grammy Award-winning band here at Wrigley Field. They were on SNL last night. Repeat.
Pretty good.
Remember we had the guy on here? Yeah.
Did you say, hey, I know that guy?
Well, I couldn't pick him out.
Really?
Yeah. I was half asleep.
Okay.
And there was a couple guys that looked alike, so I was a little confused.
Two and two.
Well, putting up a pretty good fight here. Couple of big right-handers jogging down towards the Cubs bullpen. Grimm and Medina. Well, it looks like it's Travis Wood who's going to start to throw.
Into center, base hit. Rupp's going to try to score. Fowler's throw is late. Aaron Nola with his second major league hit, his first career RBI, and it's 6-2. It's 4 hits here and a lot of hard hit balls by the Phillies.
3 spot in the first, 3 more here in the fourth. In the first inning, it was the top of the order. Here it's Ashe on through the 9-hole getting it done. It's not Jason Hamill's day. I saw him pursuing that little slow roller and then a foul down the third baseline, and it looked like there was a little hitch in the giddy up as he was going over there. I'm not sure he's completely over that hamstring strain. If ever there was a time to leave your feet to try to keep a ball in the infield, that was it. But I think Starlin just, determined that he wasn't going to be able to do that, even if he did dive for it.
So Hernandez, the pitcher Nola at first. There it is. Ball 1. This kind of performance has been a major rarity here at Wrigley Field. The last Cubs starter to give up 6 runs in this ballpark was John Lester on April 13th. So a rotation that has been really good. And a guy who's been outstanding after his first 3 starts of this season, having a rough go of it today.
I looked the other day, the Cubs starting rotation led the league, maybe the major leagues, in wins above replacement. That's how good they've been. Whether you buy into the advanced statistical model or not, some indication of how good they've been.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Third strikeout so far for Hamill. That's going to be his final pitch of the day. It's going to be Travis Wood after an early exit by Jason Hamill, 3 2/3. And we'll be back to Wrigley Field in a moment.
Glav, Maddox, back when I had hair, we had the time of our lives. It's the only time, Greg, you're not going to be able to talk about my bald head. So what I want to talk about is the time that we had both playing golf and pitching. What you don't know about Greg and Tom is that you know that all the statistics got him here, and they got him here for the Hall of Fame. But they did things behind the scenes for me that I will never, ever forget. When I lost my changeup, they were there helping me to find it. When I lost my golf book, which was the prized treasure of what I had because I was the golf concierge, they looked tirelessly and helped me find it. Recently, I've lost 20 pounds, and they helped me find it. Thank you, guys.
Good stuff from John Smoltz. Odubel Herrera fouls off. Travis Wood is in.
Woody, those are his composite numbers, starter and bullpen, and better out of the pen. Been busy here lately, getting a lot of work last week or so. Scoreless inning in the ball game yesterday. I don't know if it's been discussed internally if the Cubs continue to search for a fifth starter, but Joe Maddon has continued to say, tell the media, tell us when we talk to him, that he's just very comfortable with Travis Wood, likes what he sees from him in this role out of the pen.
The Cub dugout. Two strikes on Herrera.
Cubs came from 5 down against Cincinnati the other day to salvage a split of that 4-game series. They're going to have to come from down 4 here today to avoid being swept by the Phillies.
The numbers would be on Joe's side. 7 starts for Travis Wood. David Kaplan. Not wearing a suit. Outside. 1-2. 559 as a starter in 7 outings. 273, 21 games in relief. I don't think I've ever seen a batting stance quite like that. As we pointed out the other day with that front foot dug into the dirt at an angle. It looks very uncomfortable. Huge leg kick.
You usually see a guy with a big leg kick like that. It tells you to start spinning the ball or throw some off-speed pitches. Difficult for him to time that up with that big leg kick. Well, we've seen guys do it very effectively. It's just a matter of getting it down in time, keeping the hands back.
He went, could not hold, and Wood strikes him out. 3 more for the Phillies, though, and they now have a 6-2 advantage. brought to you by the Bob LaCourcio Auto Group. You're going to like buying a car this way. Glenn and JD and our ABC 7 crew. And about 41,000 inside Wrigley Field. But all Phillies all weekend to this point. As Chris Bryant will bat. And he was at the plate when Kyle Schwarber was caught stealing to win the third inning. It was a one-run game at the time after the Fowler home run. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Tight.
That's one of the things you look for in a young pitcher in his development. Does he have the ability to throw the ball to both sides of the plate, and will he throw inside with conviction? Some guys just not comfortable going in there.
Gets Bryant. His second punch out. It's an LSU. Located Baton Rouge, his hometown. That's where Nola is from. It's a Catholic high school there. He had committed to LSU. Blue Jays took him in the 22nd round. 2011, he decided to go to college instead. He was Mr. Baseball in Louisiana that year. His older brother Austin was LSU's shortstop when Nola was given his scholarship. So pretty cool. Brothers getting a chance to play together in college.
And it's been an elite program for a long time. Skip Bertman was a longtime coach there. I don't believe Nola would have played for him. I think he'd already retired. Played alongside Kevin Gausman, young right-hander for the Orioles. Pulmonary now the head coach at LSU, and he's here in the ballpark today.
Austin is a middle infielder, 25 years old, having at least at AAA, having a very good year in the Miami Marlins chain. He hit .211 at AA Jacksonville, .323 at AAA. So he has yet to make his major league debut. Rizzo strikes out. That ball hit him in the foot, and he's going to reach. On a wild pitch, he's aboard. So that hit. Let's see who it hit. Ooh.
It hit him in the leg.
So he should be out.
It's a dead ball, right?
He should have been out.
Yeah.
Interesting. And
that's
what
what
Phillies are waiting.
Rupp was pointing at Jerry Davis, trying to make the point. I don't know if the dugout. Yeah, here comes Hugh McCannon.
This is going to be looked at probably and overturned. If it had hit the catcher or the umpire, that would have been a wild pitch. But if you swing at a pitch that hits you, it is a dead ball, and that was strike 3.
I believe this has happened. I know Anthony's been hit.
No, it's happened to him a lot.
Before, yeah. I know he's swing and miss and hit, and I think this exact play has happened too, where it's been strike 3.
That's pretty clear cut. Now, I don't think Davis saw it hit him. He probably assumed it just hit the glove, which it appeared to nick of Rupp. But after it hit Anthony in the leg.
Should not take very long.
No. And it didn't.
Third strikeout of the game for Nola, all swinging. Guys in the middle of the Cubs lineup been pretty quiet here for a good while now.
Chop to third. Franco will glove it, and that's it. Off to the fifth. 6-2 for the visitors.
News weeknights at 10 with Ron Majors, Kathy Brock, Cheryl Burton, Jerry Taft, Mark Giangreco, and occasionally me.
Who's me? It's Rob Elgas, reporter and anchor from ABC7, and he's got the requisite.
Hey, nice.
Golf shirt.
Got the uni on.
It was a last-minute addition.
Colors.
These seats are all right.
Pretty good.
Not a bad perch.
Pretty good. Holy cow. Maikel Franco here in the Phillies' fifth. Travis Wood in relief of Jason Hamill, and a big swing and a miss. So Chicago area guy, Arlington Heights, Crystal Lake Cub fan growing up?
Yes. We used to come and sit in the third, behind third base, up by that chain link fence with my dad. He'd have a couple old styles. Those seats were like $5 back then, right? So we would come many times from Crystal Lake. It was a great way to grow up.
Who's your guy? Who's your...
Oh, well, we used to watch. We'd have a routine. My brother on the summer. So Days of Our Lives would come on at noon, and then Harry would come on at 1 with Stone, and we would watch those teams with those great teams with. See, it always looks gone from here, right?
Castro in the bullpen, but Coughlin just couldn't get there.
Just love that team with Ron Say and Rhino, and that was just such a good couple of years. Oh, geez.
Hey, there you are, man.
The day.
You know your athletic ability is limited when you show high school photos.
No, that's good stuff.
Two-way player?
That was 88, I think. Yeah, we had a pretty good football team. We had a guy named Dave Beasley who played on our team as running back and then went to Northwestern, played under Gary Barnett. So when you got a Rose Bowl player in the backfield, you don't throw the ball a lot. So I caught one pass, I think, and he threw it to me.
Nice.
So that was a good team, though.
So every huddle break, give the ball to Dave. Break.
Yep, 28 sweep. Block, just down block, and that'd be it.
So who did you emulate in the broadcasting business growing up here?
So many legends that I now work with, watching those guys, as you know, being from here. Ron and Kathy and Cheryl Burton and Jerry Taft and Charles Thomas and Paul Meinke. I mean, we've just got such a great team at ABC7. Happy to be a part of it.
Wood has struck out both batters he has faced. Well, JD got a chance to face guys that he grew up watching. I've had a chance to meet and work with people I grew up watching, and you just mentioned the same. But there are some pinch me moments, aren't there?
Well, for you guys, there has to be. Well, you were watching. I saw we ran a little bit of the Hall of Fame speeches. I mean, those were a lot of guys you played against, right?
Well, I played against Craig and with Craig. Right. And then in my broadcasting career, Randy Johnson came over to the Astros in '98 when I was in the booth for half a season at the trade deadline. He was unbelievable.
On the left field line, Coughlin will not get there. It's a fair ball, but he will keep Howard to a long single.
So hard to hit him. He was still at 7-1. That ball would just come straight
Randy
down.
Is 6'10".
6'10".
Yep.
Yeah, and yeah, pitched. I don't know that I ever went head to head against Randy when I was with the Twins. He was in Seattle, but contemporaries, you know, I was winding down. He was in his prime. Same with John Smoltz.
I haven't even asked you this, JD, but you know that pinch me moment, it had to be probably pitching in the same rotation as Nolan Ryan, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of them.
Oh,
that was certainly one of them. I never got over being starstruck around Nolan.
Yeah.
We do stuff. You do stuff off the field. He'd invite us out to the ranch over the All-Star break. You know, 3 or 4 families. So you'd be out there playing ping pong with, you know, he and his wife and shooting hoops and whatever. And so you kind of settle into a little bit of a comfort zone. Then you get back to the ballpark and he'd be out there pitching. You go, oh man, that's Noli.
Did you beat him in ping pong?
You couldn't beat him in anything. but you really couldn't beat Ruth, his wife. She was really competitive.
1-0 on Cody Ashe.
This is the first time I've been here with the outfield open now, the bleachers. What do you guys think of the scoreboards? It's going to put your producers out of work. Now all your stats are up on the screen, right? I mean, it's right there.
I think it's blended in well, yeah.
From here, it really does look beautiful. There's a lot to get in terms of information.
Right center, Fowler. So anchoring, reporting, you like being where the action is, or do you like kind of being the...
I enjoy going out and telling stories. Yeah, I covered some Olympics for NBC. I was over at NBC5 for 13 years, had a chance to go to Turin, Italy, and Sochi last year. I really enjoy the breaking news. So just do whatever they need. I'm just happy to be a part of it. Oh, look at there's my family. My boy John told me to give a shout out to our dog Clarence. So
Clarence, hey, Clarence,
and that's my wife Wendy and daughter Eva.
That's great.
Really appreciate them showing that. Thank you.
And I would think reporting helps a lot when you have to then anchor and you have breaking news because you have to go off the teleprompter.
Right.
It's not easy.
They're different. They're very different. And I also think going out and reporting and engaging with the public and seeing viewers and meeting them is vital. It's important to do that too. So I enjoy both.
Foul tip by Galvis.
How quick was yesterday with Jerry Taft? Now I know that no hitter. This inning must have flown by.
Yeah, he was a little nervous that he was going to be a part of history, and I guess unfortunately for him, he was.
It'll be forever known as the Taft game here in Chicago.
I like that, Jay. That's good, yeah. Oh, that was a good game, though, huh?
Remember the day the Cubs got no hit? It was Jerry's fault.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's going to hear about it this week. Well, maybe this will be the Elgis comeback game.
Well, this team can do it.
Ground ball into right. Howard will stop at second. Cubs did overcome a 5-0 deficit in Cincinnati earlier this week.
It's fun to watch this team. They have the ability to come back. They've had several of those type of games, right, Len? And get back in it. They're never really out of it. That hasn't been the case in years past.
No, you're right. I think offensively lately, aside from Wednesday night, it's been a tough go, but
well, I think their pitching has kept them close. That's been the key. Their starting pitching has been so good. They haven't had many games like this where they've had to come from way back. Usually if they're behind, it's a run or two because the pitching has been so good.
2 on, 2 down. Brown in the air. Soler will not get it. It'll get to the wall. Howard's going to score. So will Galvis. Brown to third. It's their third triple. 8-2.
Oh, wow. Now they got a big mountain to climb. It looked to me that Soler was caught a little bit in between as he pursued that ball, whether to try to go all out and leave his feet and try to make a play, or try to retreat and cut it off before it got to the wall. And at the end of the day, neither happened. I mean, it was well struck, and it would have been an unbelievable play had he been able to get there. But man, it just keeps raining extra base hits for the Phillies here this afternoon.
Not cut it off, and Brown knocks in 2. And that will bring up the catcher Rupp. He's 2 for 2. Came in 0 for his last 13. And it's outside. Ball 1. We'll see more action in the Cubs bullpen. Yoervis Medina just grabbed the ball.
And the Cubs, the tonic for the Phillies in this homestand, huh?
Phillies have lost 1 game since the All-Star break. That's it. Strike on Rupp. So you probably talked to a lot of people who are happy about the games being on Channel 7.
Oh, it's been great. Yeah, what a great partnership for us to be able to broadcast them. Something unique. It's been a good opportunity to showcase some of our abilities, and fun to watch on ABC 7. Yeah, it's been neat.
Do you find you guys are talking Cubs a little bit more around the station these days? See the Cubs last night and debating who's doing what.
Well, and everybody in the newsroom is watching.
Guessing the manager.
Because the news comes on afterwards sometimes. So we've got it on there and definitely watching and paying attention.
1-2 on Rupp.
Anything going to happen, you think, this trade deadline coming up for the Cubbies?
I would say, if I had to make a guess, yes. What or whom they acquire, not sure yet. But yeah, I guess I'd be more surprised if they don't. This will get Wood out of the inning as Russell makes the play. Rob Elgus, thanks for stopping by today.
Always remember the Taft game, okay?
Taft
not the
game, Rob.
game. Pleasure, guys.
8-2 Phillies.
He was the local left-handed pitcher that I could watch on a daily basis pitching for the Oakland A's. I would be out in the front yard throwing a tennis ball against our garage door, a wooden garage door. My dad would come out after about a half an hour with a hammer put the hammer down and say, when you're done playing catch against the wall, make sure you pound all those nails in. He also took the time as a police officer when his shift was over to come in his police uniform and watch me pitch in high school. I've never forgot those moments. Then there's my mom, the backbone to our family, working 25 years for General Electric as a secretary.
Very emotional moment for Randy Johnson. I need a taller mic stand, by the way. Cooperstown. Good stuff.
Always comes back to the parents.
Yeah.
Talk to any player in the big leagues, and they talk about how they got there, and that's where it all starts.
There's Castro with one out. Fifth inning, Cubs down a bunch. Every Philly has a hit, even the pitcher. Nola in pretty good shape here. Qualified for what would be his first major league win. Spinner, and Castro missed it. Well, he's been efficient too. This will be just his 50th pitch coming up. And it's hit in the air out into pretty deep left. On the track, however, is Ashe. He's got it. Tuesday, August 11th, Cubs are offering tickets to Girl Scouts and their family members to watch the Cubs host the Milwaukee Brewers. Included with their game ticket, all participants get a commemorative Cubs-themed scout patch. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com/special events.
Yeah, I think the Cubs hitters actually, especially early on, had a pretty good game plan against Nola, because he does have the reputation of being a guy who commands the strike zone, and they were swinging early and they had some success. I mean, Fowler walked. Schwarber hit a rocket for base hit on the first pitch. Rizzo lined into a double play.
Pinch hitter Jonathan Herrera lines out, batting for Wood, and that will quickly end the Cubs' fifth. 8-2, Phillies. America runs on Duncan. Here's Yoervis Medina. 5th appearance as a Cub. Second call up after being acquired from Seattle on May the 19th for catcher Wellington Castile. Your 5-inning thoughts on Aaron Nola on the mound?
Yeah, well, I think he's been good. I think he's been a little fortunate. There was some hard contact early that were turned into outs. But he's done what you're supposed to do, attack the strike zone, especially once you get a comfortable lead.
And Herrera stays in after hitting.
And he looks like, his mound presence. He looks composed out there. This is a 22-year-old kid who was just drafted last summer.
A pitch in the dirt. Time now for the out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by Dodge. Full slate, focusing on just a few games. Dodgers Mets now 2-2 in the bottom of the ninth. So LA with a late comeback. Pirates beat the Nationals 3-1. Cardinals playing great ball but trailing 3-2 at home against Atlanta. So the Cardinals' 5-game winning streak is on the line. They have the best mark in the game, 63 up, 34 down.
That Pirate win, it was Garrett Cole picking up the W. Look out.
Laced into center by Hernandez.
That's what the old timers would call a frozen rope.
Yep.
Garrett Cole 14-4 with a win today, 7 2/3 innings, allowed 1 run. Now has a 2.24 ERA. Pirates, I believe, took 3 out of 4 from Washington.
Just trying to remain 7 back. Could get within 6 if the Cardinals don't win. So a lot of frustration, obviously, Cub fans watching this series, saying, how in the world can this be happening against worst team in baseball? But we know how Joe operates and how a lot of managers operate when your team's going through a stretch like this. Regardless of what happens these final few innings, even if the Cubs get swept, Joe's going to go the other way. These are the times when managers need to be positive in the clubhouse. So it's this kind of weird dichotomy where the fans are upset, throwing stuff at the television.
They want manager to be flipping tables over in the clubhouse and screaming and yelling. And
that's not what Joe's going to do.
I guess different styles of managers, and there are guys who have been successful who have kind of been that guy. But put me in the Joe Madden camp. I think that's the right way to play it. I think you try to back off a little bit when your team is scuffling. You try to keep the mood positive. You try to stay light. And, there's another day. We come out and fight tomorrow. And then the other part of it is when you're going good, that's when you continue to lean on guys to pay attention to detail. You don't let the guy get away with missing a cutoff man or making a stupid mistake on the bases just because you're winning games. You're always reminding the players, hey, tighten it up, man. Don't take it for granted just because we're winning games. So as long as these guys are playing hard and they're doing things the right way, if you're losing, you keep it positive. Now, if you see guys starting to, lapse mentally, you got to get on them. But that he addresses that more one-on-one. He's not a scream and yell in the clubhouse guy.
Runner goes, base hit. Hernandez to third.
And the funny thing about baseball too is when you don't pitch well, and it's been rare for the Cubs this year to get blown out, to get knocked around the way they are today. People say, "Man, your team looked flat. They looked ugly. They looked sloppy." Well, if you're pitching well, and you've shut down the Phillies, maybe you've got a 2-1 lead, and you're saying, "Boy, the at-bats were great. They hit a lot of balls hard. They could have had 5 runs by now." And bigger picture, it's the randomness of baseball. Fans that follow baseball and pay attention know that this isn't that rare for a losing team to come in and do damage. Anything can happen over a 3 or 4 game series.
Going to miss by Franco.
Every once in a while, a college team beats a big league team in an exhibition game.
I think the most frustrating part of this is you're in a 17-game stretch against all these teams with losing records, and a loss today would make you 4-6 in the first 10.
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt it's frustrating. And I understand that because I've been looking at this for a while now. This stretch of the scheduling. This is where the Cubs can really make some noise. Doesn't mean they're going to. Nor does it mean they have to. That's the other part. People will say you got to beat up on the bad teams. You got to do this. You got to do that. At the end of the day, you have to just win enough games to get into the postseason. And sometimes the formula is beating up on the lesser lights. Sometimes it just works out where you don't do that, but you, for whatever reason, play well against the better clubs. There's no magic formula.
Well, in the overall, the formula right now is the Cubs need more offense, which sounds funny to say on a day in which you've given up 8. And we're only in the 6th inning. But the pitching, by and large, has carried this team all year to a record at this point of 51-45. We just keep waiting for that prolonged stretch of the Cubs scoring 5 to 8 runs per game. Another ball struck well. Soler can't get it. Here comes another run. Hernandez in. It's a double for Franco, and it's 9-2. Got some loud noises in the ballpark today, mostly courtesy of the Phillies bats.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the ballpark and you didn't know Soler's number before the game, you know it now. You've seen him running backwards a lot.
3 straight hits. Infield will come in against Ryan Howard, 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. Well, one guy to keep an eye on. He's very early on in the rehab stages. He's been down in Mesa with a rookie league team. Is Javier Baez, who was really swinging the bat before he suffered the finger injury in early June at AAA Iowa. So, over the next 2 or 3 weeks, if he's healthy and kind of back to doing what he was doing before, I'm sure the Cubs would strongly consider bringing him up to the big leagues. I don't know what role that would be. Got the trade deadline coming up. Runners will hold. This will go 4-3. And let's take a look at today's National League wildcard standings, brought to you by the Bob LaCourcio Auto Group. Cubs in trail mode now for the first time in a while, a game and a half behind the Giants for the 2nd spot.
Giants have won 10 out of 11.
Now Ashe called strike. Got a tweet from Clint. He said maybe Joe needs to get that magician in from New York. Yeah, you know, that's another part of it. We could see Joe try something like that. I don't know if we'll see some sort of exotic animal in the clubhouse this week, but he's been known to just try to lighten the mood.
Joe's going to host a TED Talk in the clubhouse. Have Jeff Garland come in and do a stand-up routine.
Had the catcher's mask on. I guess there was a little minor media melee the other day.
Kerfuffle, yeah. A couple of media guys were interviewing a little scrum with Jed Hoyer.
2-2.
Dina with the Mariners had some success there a couple of years ago. He struggled with his control. 16 games with Iowa this year, had an inflated ERA of 8.68, allowing 18 earned runs and 18 2/3. He struck out 21, so that kind of speaks to the stuff. But he also walked 12.
Full count on Kobayashi. Swing and a miss, and the inning finally over. They had a run to their lead. It's now 9-2.
Is brought to you by DeVry University. Different on purpose.
Addison Russell against Aaron Nola. Ball one.
Nola has a delivery. Looks like it'd be tough on right-handed hitters. Low 3/4, slings it up there. Working into the 6th, so he's qualified for the win.
For the hole, backhanded play, Freddie Galvis. One away.
Cole Hamels made a little history here yesterday with the no-hitter. Now Nola with a chance to record his first major league win at Wrigley Field. That's a big thrill for any young player. Not only to get your first W, but to get it in this cathedral. The baby's not so worked up about that. Kind of chilling on a warm day.
Backdoor breakers a strike. Fowler with a home run in the third. Boy, he's been all the offense pretty much, hasn't he, these last 2 days? 2 walks, only Cub to reach yesterday. A walk, a homer, both runs today.
Yeah, he's been one of the positive stories for the Cubs since the All-Star break. Quality of his at-bats has really improved after going through a prolonged rough stretch. He and Schwarber probably had the best at-bats of any of the Cubs here over the last 10 days or so.
Chop to second. And Hernandez makes the play. 2 outs. Let's take a look at the Ford upcoming schedule. Here come the Rockies. Monday night, Tuesday night, and Wednesday afternoon. 41-54. Pulling up the rear in the West. Just underway hosting the Reds today. No score in the first.
So it started this homestand, I did anyway, by saying that anything less than 4-2 would be a disappointing homestand. So I guess we're all disappointed, but you got to move forward and hopefully do some damage against the Rockies. Kyle Hendricks tomorrow, Jorge De La Rosa for the Rockies.
Bit of an anonymous matchup Tuesday. Yeah. But nice team logos. One candidate would be Dallas Beeler for Tuesday. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Fly to deep center. Herrera is behind it. And that's it. Cubs have gone down 1-2-3 the last 3 consecutive innings.
In the National League, you got to play offense and defense, or you don't play at all. I just made the All-Star game as a catcher. And the following year, the Astros asked me to go play second base, a position that I never played before in my life. We had 6 weeks to learn it in spring training. No pressure, huh, Matt? A typical day with Matty is that we start at 7 a.m. and we go to a half field when the sun was coming up, and we work for an hour and a half until 8:45 or so. At 8:45, and then we'd go practice with the team from 9 till around noon. Then we'd go grab a sandwich. We'd go back to the half field again, get some more work done. Then we'd go back, play the game, and then when the game was over, we went back to the half field again. We did that every day in spring training for 6 weeks. I thank God for Matt Galante, and I'm so grateful. When I won my first Gold Glove, I gave it to him. Matt, thank you for everything.
I think it's the best part of this day in Cooperstown is to hear guys like Craig Biggio talk about the unsung heroes. You heard Randy Johnson talking about his mom. And Matt Galante, JD, you know Matt real well.
One of my favorite guys in the game. Yep, Matty, longtime coach with the Astros, moved along and worked with the Mets some, and just a great baseball mind. And yeah, he was obviously, he and Biz got together when they decided to move him to second base and put in hours and hours and hours of work.
And one of our favorite guys, Wayne Messmer, will sing the stretch today. Hi, Wayne.
Hi there. How are you guys?
Great. How are you?
Thank you for your coolness up here. Beautiful air off the lake.
Nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually not too bad.
Just got to get the offense going a little bit.
Be all right.
2-2 on Freddie Galvis. 31 seasons.
Yeah, 31 years here at Wrigley Field. Seems like only 30. You know, it's kind of amazing. Singing with and without today, you know, duetting with Kathleen, and that's always kind of fun.
Yeah, I love Sundays. God Bless America and the anthem. The tapper. Dina will make the play. Used to get a chance to sing the Canadian anthem when the Expos would come here. Blue Jays come here about once every 6 years now. But
I'm ready.
That's always a fun one.
If they do realignment, I'm all set.
In the singing world, I'd have to think, oh, Canada, not nearly as difficult as
True. It's a beauty. It's a good one. But the anthem is an octave and a fifth, and most people don't even have a full octave range, even after they drink the fifth. You know, it is kind of difficult. Fortunately, it falls within my voice range, I'm happy to say. And I do feel a little guilty making a career of singing a song I learned in second grade.
What do you recall about the first time you sang here?
Oh, very much. I was a PA announcer for the White Sox at the time, and came out against the Expos and had an Expo jacket on, took it off, and had a Cub jersey on. Fellas on the south side were watching. They seemed to have noticed that I was wearing that. I seem to have noticed that every person who knew me sent me a note and said, "Hey, I saw you at the Cubs game." Ding, ding, ding. There goes the bell.
Base hit Dominic Brown. Double, triple, single in his last 3 at bats.
So that didn't go over real well on the south side.
I don't think it was not a fan favorite internally. But I opted for free agency because I was doing the White Sox for 3 years. And doing the 7th inning stretch, it was right after Harry left, and they had hired me. And I mean, it was fun, but I'm a National League guy.
There's Cameron Rupp. What did you like about Old Comiskey, by the way? I never saw a game there. I regret.
Well, I think that was part of the things of history, too. You know, the baseball palace of the world in 1910 and first All-Star game. Right. So there were a lot of great memories, just like here. It's hallowed ground. But it was just a fun old place. It was my childhood place. I grew up on the south side. I'd hop on the Archer Avenue bus and come down to 35th Street. And my brother and I As my grandfather would say, the Bodias are going to go to the game, and he'd come with. I got sculled by a foul ball before the game one night out there. We still stayed for the entire game, and Gramps took us over to McCuddy's because he wanted to have a couple of short ones before we went home. My mother was not happy. I came home looking like the Elephant Man.
You got a big old knot on your head.
What happened? Oh, he says, "Oh, nothing."
It'll be all right.
Yeah, I had laces on my forehead.
Here, take this cold bottle and put it on your head and see that swelling will go down a little bit.
Walk it off.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. We're out number 2.
It may explain something. I have been hit in the head with a baseball here at Wrigley, at Old Comiskey, hit with a puck at after singing up in the organ loft at the Hawks game at the old stadium. Soldier Field, hit in the head by a soccer ball at a Sting game, and doing a Bulls game, an outbound pass found my large orb as its target.
Wow. So you've been beamed for the cycle.
Yeah.
And then some.
You think it's easy?
Pitcher Nola.
How many have you taken up here?
I'll tell you what, I think we've only had 1 or 2 in this booth since I've been here.
Yeah.
And between the overhang and the backstop, there's just a small window of opportunity.
Unless they stand on the pitcher's mound and just fungo it up here at you, probably not going to happen.
Yeah, think about it. Comiskey Park, Wrigley Field, Soldier Field, Chicago Stadium.
My head is a magnet to the playing object. I actually gave a speech at the National Safety Council about that one time.
Low 3-0 on the pitcher.
But it's interesting because when you talk to singers about venues, people are talking about Carnegie Hall and something great. But these stadiums are iconic in their own right, right?
Absolutely. I know. My stage is ballparks and the stadium and singing concerts. I think I finally identified my audience. It is blue hairs in lawn chairs. That's why I feel. They love me. It's nice. Singing the old tunes.
I just got a note for Barry Rosner. You did the Soviet anthem at the stadium?
I did, in Russian. In Russian.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All 4. Not so cool for the pitcher.
So how long did it take to learn that?
Well, let's see. I learned it phonetically. It probably took me a couple of days. But it was good.
And did you have a cheat sheet or did you?
For that one, I don't believe I did.
Really?
No, I went all out.
And this was where?
This is at Chicago Stadium when the Red Army team came in to play the Blackhawks.
So you had a bit of a safety net in that most of the audience, if you misfire on a couple words there, they're probably not going to catch it.
Not a clue.
Right, yeah.
Not a clue.
Which would have been cool to do, just make it up. Just just kind of go like that and see.
I'm not saying I didn't.
Just do it with conviction.
So get the first couple words, and then hope they make a lot of noise. It's never done as a solo, though, is what I found out later. So the coach looked up.
So what year was that? I'm trying to think of who the coach was. Was it the?
No, this would have been the Soviet coach.
Right. Early 80s, late 70s.
It would have been the guy. From the big guy from the '80 Olympics.
Yeah.
Swing and a miss. Viktor Tikhonov, probably, right? 1980. Yeah.
I'll give you that. Is that off the top of your head?
No,
Say
I just
yes.
looked it up. But
who would know? Yeah, I'm sure that was him. Comrade Tikhonov. To us.
1-2 pitch is outside. 2-2 the count on Hernandez.
Good day to just love the game of baseball.
Yeah, in this ballpark. Packed house here at Wrigley.
Yeah, it's a day for looking for silver linings, right? Some of these guys have been struggling, have a couple good at bats.
Wow, wait till you hear the stretch.
Well, here it comes. Bryant with the catch. Time for the Mercedes-Benz 7th inning stretch with Wayne Messmer.
Today's guest conductor for Take Me Out to the Ball Game, legendary Cubs anthem singer Wayne Messmer.
All right, Cub fans, let's go. On your feet. Let's sing it loud and proud. Gary Pressey, a 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and tractor check. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Let's get some runs. Go Cubbies!
MLB.TV serves up real-time highlights and pitch tracking info on your out-of-market fantasy players live or on demand on over 400 devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Get MLB.TV today.
On Twitter, we got a note: unsolicited advice for Wayne Messmer. Turn down any PBA bowling singing invites. Yeah. Considering his penchant for getting
hit by projectiles.
Right. Nicely done with the stretch as Chris Bryant will foul out of play.
We wouldn't want to work the International Jart Championship either.
I don't even know if that game's allowed anymore, is it?
No, those are illegal.
For you younger people, you might want to Google it.
Yeah. Lawn darts.
But don't try it.
It would be promoted by who was the character way back in the early days of SNL? Dan Aykroyd did the guy with the the bag of glass and flammable Halloween costumes.
Off the plate, outside, 1 and 2.
And one of the things that Erwin Mainway, there you go. Thanks, Vince. Erwin Mainway was the guy.
Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Got him on a curveball.
Yeah, and it's an interesting pitch. It's because of his arm angle. It's more of a sweeping breaking ball. It's not an over the top 12-6 type pitch, but really tough for right-handed hitters to stay in that. When he drops down the way he does, that front shoulder tends to leak a little bit. Talking to some of the Philly guys about Nola, and they talked about fastball command and a changeup, but the breaking ball has been a real good pitch for him here today. But Joe, talking with Joe before the game, he's concerned. Feels like his guys lately have gotten a little jumpy in full count situations. So we need to be a little bit better about being patient, not going out of the zone.
Bouncing ball right to second. 2 outs.
Yeah, here's what I'm talking about.
Irwin and Kitty,
Mainway Incorporated.
Irwin Mainway.
It's Candace Bergen.
Oh, that's Candace Bergen. Yeah. I think Lorraine Newman. Just kidding.
That's
Well, that's one of the first couple seasons, I think.
Tapped by Soler. Blanco, a good effort, but he's safe. It's an infield hit for Soler.
I don't know if that qualifies as a silver lining, but it qualifies as a hit. Jorge had 3 hits in the first game of this series.
Well, Phillies in a transition mode, but that kid's a keeper, isn't he? Kel Franco. Kind of in broadcaster speak. When you go into a series, you compare notes. Talking with the Phillies broadcasters, one of the things they said right off the bat is, you'll like this kid at third. And yeah, he's been impressive this weekend. Tom McCarthy, former Cub Matt Stairs on the left. He's excited. They're headed to Canada.
The motherland for Matt Stairs.
They've got an off day in Toronto tomorrow. Scott Fransky and Larry Anderson. Make a fine radio tandem as well. We should note the Hall of Famer Harry Kalas, Naperville native, the late great Harry Kalas, passed away a few years ago. We always think about Harry the K when the Phillies come in. 9-2 they lead. Is brought to you by Sport Clips. It's good to be a guy. In our ESPN 1000 game summary, Phillies bats. The story today, everybody in their lineup with at least one hit. And young Aaron Nola poised to grab his first major league victory. Odubel Herrera, high fly ball to right. Soler will not have a play. And this is, where you think about Friday. The Lester-Williams matchup. Cubs had the lead late, could not hold it, lost in extras. You get no hit by Hamels yesterday, an unfamiliar matchup against a top pitching prospect today. I think that more than Saturday and Sunday's the loss that kind of sticks in your craw a little bit.
Yeah, because it's that old adage, right? There's you're going to win 60, you're going to lose 60, and then what you do with those other games will determine your fate. So get no hit, you chalk up. That's one of those 60 you're going to lose. You get blown out, that's one of the 60 you're going to lose. So the first game was one of those tweener games that you felt like you should have had.
Remember on Wednesday they came back that big win in Cincinnati. Having stopped Russell, that's all he can do with it. And the Cubs now have allowed 16 hits, most they've given up all year.
Quick feet, good athletic play by Russell to scramble over there and try to make that play. He wasn't going to throw out Herrera. His third hit. Hernandez has a couple. Franco has a home run and a double so far.
Slider strike. Great to see the voice of the Chicago Bears in the ballpark. Jeff Joniak today, good friend. Herrera boots it. Just able, though, to get the runner, the batter runner, I should say, Franco. So no error. Quick recovery by Herrera.
Yeah, it's got some funky spin. He actually overplays this ball. And the good news is he was able to scramble back and fling it on over there to get Franco.
Swing and a miss by Ryan Howard. That was a sinker. I said a slider earlier. Actually, it's a hard curve at 84 for Medina. League leaders brought to you by DeVry University. 3 first basemen on that list. Deep drive the other way, and there she goes. 2-run homer. Ryan Howard.
He's not going to want to get on the team bus. Having himself a heck of a weekend here in Chicago. Well, let's take a look at the Toyota home run cam. Oh, boy, stayed right on that sinker. He's always had that good opposite field power.
Season high 11 runs allowed in this ballpark today by the Cubs pitching staff. Well, all is not lost. I learned today the national anthem is an octave and a fifth. I did not know that.
I don't even understand what that means.
No, I don't understand it, but I learned it.
So you got to have a good range factor to sing the anthem.
Yeah.
Giants out to an early lead in their ball game, 4-1 over the Athletics, as they look to sweep that series.
Herrera in the shift will make the play.
If they win that ball game, it'll be 5 in a row and 11 out of 12, I believe. Matt Duffy has hit a home run, his 9th. He's having a heck of a rookie year. Looking at his numbers the other day. .304 average, 344 on base, 469 slugging, 9 home runs, 46 driven in.
Yeah, so they lose Pablo Sandoval, bring in Casey McGee. It ends up being Matt Duffy. Sometimes you get to the place you want to be, even though that's not where you thought you would go when you started the journey.
You can't always get what you want, but you get what you need.
Yeah. Well said.
Giants lead the National League in runs scored. Now they played a couple more games than the Rockies and one more than the Diamondbacks. So
you can go to
runs per game.
If you'd like, find that out. Giants are third, right on the heels of the Rockies and Diamondbacks runs per game.
And they play their home games obviously in a tougher scoring environment than both of those clubs, significantly so compared to the Rockies.
You know who's last in the league in runs per game?
Runs per game. Phillies
got 11 today.
Now
the Philadelphia Phillies. Galvis walks.
Pete Mackanin is the interim manager. He has Chicago roots. He has been an interim manager twice before. I don't know if he has an agent or not, but if he did, this might be a good time for him to try to get that interim label taken off his title.
Former Cub Larry Boa is a bench coach.
Brief run in Pittsburgh.
Knocked down by Medina. We get Brown. Howard with a 2-run homer, number 352 of his career, 11-2.
Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Chris DeNorfia in the pinch. Hitting in the pitcher spot. Oh, 2. We got 3 innings out of Medina. Struggled 6 hits, 3 runs, but looking for quantity on a day like this. Almost strikes out DeNorfia.
We were talking about a little magic. Well, first, let's remind you to take a look at the Cubs blog on abc7.com, brought to you by Jeff Vukovich, your local nationwide agent. Serving the area for 37 years. To join the nation, contact Jeff at jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side. And it looks like David Ross is going to pitch the 9th. Going to put that perfect ERA on the line here.
Strike on Herrera, 0-2. So David Ross will make his second appearance on the mound here in 2015. Hey, it's a bit of a risk for David to volunteer to pitch today. His career ERA is 0.
I know.
This is the kind of day your regular pitching staff's given up 17 hits, 11 runs. Down there going, I don't want to show anybody up, but.
Well, that's what happened at his first appearance in Milwaukee. 3 up, 3 down.
By Howard, can't get it, the base hit. It's the second Cub hit since the 3rd inning. Elvis Araujo. Deep drive, left field. It is gone. 2-run homer, Addison Russell.
Well, there's a little silver lining for you. One of the guys that's got to get going for the Cubs, and he is showing some signs here, not this weekend, but series in Atlanta and then in Cincinnati. He's having some good at-bats. That's what it's going to take. These young guys are going to have to get things going. Pretty swing. There's your Toyota home run cam as we look in on home run number 6 for Addison Russell. He knew it as soon as he hit it.
T-guarded in that big game-winning hit off for Aroldis Chapman the other night.
This is kind of fun. So Schwarber's the catcher. Teagarden's getting the at bat. David Ross is coming in to pitch. Might be a good time to run Kyle Schwarber out to left field for an inning.
First Addison Russell homer since June 17th off Sean Markham in Cleveland. So it had been a while. Up by the shortstop Galvis for out number 2.
Hey, Cub fans, if you miss any of today's action, ABC 7 will be rebroadcasting each one of their Cubs matchups on the Live Well network. Today's encore of the Cubs versus the Phillies will be aired in its entirety beginning at 7 p.m. on ABC 7's digital channel 7.2 and the following cable channel positions.
A nice hand for the rookie Aaron Nola. The Phillies fans behind their dugout as he'll exit with an 11-4 lead in the 8th. We'll be back. Is brought to you by Toyota. See where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. Elvis Araujo, a left-hander, is on for the Phillies.
Mid-90s heater and a slider. Control problems throughout his minor league career, first with the Indians, and this is his first season with the Phils. Bullpen's been pretty solid for the Phillies all year, and of late, really good.
3-2. You see David Ross on the mound in the ninth. No, I don't think we're going to see John Lester back at the plate.
Well, if Joe wanted to get really creative, there you go.
Left-handed throwing catcher. Benny DiStefano, I think he might have been the last one to do it. Ball 4, he walked it. Third time he's been on.
Yeah, he just keeps having one good at bat after another. Sharp single first time, worked a walk second time. Last time he took a good aggressive swing at a pitch hit it pretty well to center field, and this time he takes the walk.
On Bryant.
In other wild card news, the Mets beat the Dodgers 3-2 in 10.
I mean, I guess in some ways the Nationals kind of let the Mets hang around. Mets with the win just 3 over 500. But what, only 2 out? Amazing.
Yeah. And they've, they made the trade for Kelly Johnson and Juan Uribe, trying to bolster their offense. They called up their top hitting prospect, Michael Conforto. He made his debut 2 days ago. Had a 4-hit game yesterday. Jacob deGrom, 7 2/3 shutout today for the Mets. He allowed just 2 hits. Zach Greinke also pitched quite well. Neither factored in the decision.
Can't really say the Padres are in it, even though they're on that list. 7.5 out, trailing several teams. Bryant went. Strike 3, and the 8th inning is over. Russell, a 2-run homer. We go to the 9th, 11-4 Phillies. Left field major league debut. Northfield plays center. Chris Coughlin goes to first base. Taylor Teagarden now the catcher. And David Ross the pitcher. Coughlin with 2 innings under his belt previously at first base this year. So here we go. That's the first pitch, and it's a strike.
He's a strike throwing machine. He doesn't try to get too fancy out there.
Looks like that home run derby of the softball dudes the other day in Cincinnati.
Oh yeah, he's just nice and easy, but you got to be ready to defend yourself too. Make sure you get into a little bit better of fielding position.
Retired all 3 hitters on May the 9th in Milwaukee.
Like that, Schwarber gets a chance.
Schwarber makes the catch.
That's a happy pitch right there. Ross got himself an out. Rupp didn't embarrass himself. Schwarber made a catch.
So this was in Milwaukee in a 12-4 loss. And as you pointed out, the best part of it was at the end. Watch him just toss the ball to himself. Swing and a miss by Rupp.
They put a little knuckle action there.
Check that, Darren Rupp. High throw, Coughlin on the bag.
Well, the fans have hung out here today. Has not been a good day with the Cubs getting drubbed, but they're having a little fun here at the end.
Again, Addison Russell. 8-pitch, 1-2-3 inning.
Guy's a machine.
For David Ross. He's got a no-no through 1.
Meteorologist Jerry Taft and meteorologist Cheryl Scott, only on ABC 7. Witness News.
Big hand for the pitcher, David Ross.
Well, he deserves it. He's pitched a heck of a game here this afternoon. Let it all hang out.
Hector Neris is now on.
Watching David Ross pitch out there. As you look at the numbers on Neris, 3 times up and down between the minor leagues and the big league club this year. you go back to the roots of this game, the way back machine. And pitchers' sole responsibility was to just introduce the ball into play. They weren't trying to get people out. Hitters could actually tell them where they wanted it. They wanted it up or down. Pitcher would try to comply with that.
Isn't kind of like the level between T-ball and Little League? Don't you have like your own coach pitch?
There's such a thing as coach pitch, or dad pitch. Which, and I think, really there probably should be more of that at the youth level. Get the ball put in play quicker, and get kids moving around, making plays, putting the ball in play. Been to too many Little League games lately, but a few years ago I went back and watched my nephew play, and these Little Leaguers were 11 and 12 or whatever, and a couple of them they just had such a hard time throwing strikes, and kids didn't want to swing the bat, and every at bat was a full count, and walk, and they put these poor kids standing out there in the field. This got to be boring them to tears. There's some way to get the ball put in play.
Deep to left. Gone. The pitcher goes deep.
Oh, man. Have some fun, David Ross.
As a catcher, no home runs. As a pitcher, he's got one.
Standing ovation, and they're loving it. Fans want a curtain call. Joe Madden had the line earlier about Peter Pan and never wanting to grow up, and he's the oldest guy in the club. Having a little fun here this afternoon on a tough day at the ballpark.
0-2 on Soler. Toyota home run cam.
Wind got him yesterday, and he's had to hit a few balls in this ballpark this year that probably would have been out, but the wind knocked him down, but not this time. I think that pitching assignment gave him a surge of adrenaline.
Soler swung at a bad one and strikes out. Not a good day for Jorge. He did go 1 for 4. Rough day in right field. Ball got away there from the catcher Rupp, and Jorge did not attempt to go to first, even though it would have been an easy out.
Got to make the try, though, right?
Yep, you do. Especially on a day like this, I think. The body language, that stuff matters.
And that's the stuff we were talking about earlier with Joe, trying to keep it positive, keep it light, even when things are going bad. But we want to make sure everybody's still paying attention to detail. Because what the manager is saying by his actions and his words is that, hey, I'm not giving up. We're still having fun. We're still being positive.
And he saw that ball in the dirt. Yeah, he's got to run.
So basically, don't give me. This is where I'm trying to lead you guys. That's who you have to be as a player too. Don't give in to the failure, to the frustration.
Swing and a miss, 2-2.
We were talking about Craig Biggio earlier. That's what I remember about watching him play. He ran harder to first base when he hit a ground ball to the pitcher probably any other time. It was just, it was just anger. That's how he vented.
Yeah, almost at certain times you have to be an actor, because your mind is probably telling you, I'm out, we're getting blown out, doesn't matter, I'm going to be tagged out, why do I need to run? And you almost have to fake it. Do the opposite in that spot.
Right. Yeah, you just will yourself to do it because you don't want to send the message that you're conceding anything.
Funny too, had a lot of conversations with fans about David Ross and his value on this club, and he's got a low batting average. Hit hard on a hop, nice play, Ryan Howard, and that'll go 3-1, 2 outs. We see the value he brings defensively, game calling. He's kind of an extra coach in that dugout. The idea of players leading by example, that's really important. Coaches can coach and talk, but when a fellow player says it, it does usually carry more weight. And yeah, I cannot quantify a 1-2-3 inning from a catcher and then a home run, but if it just lightens the mood a little bit, it can't hurt.
Yeah, it changes the storyline at the end of a long day.
Sure.
Or at least provides another storyline. Story of the day is still going to be the fact that they got thumped by the Phillies and got swept this weekend. But
Kristen Norfia in the air, and this will do it. Herrera makes a catch for the final out, as he did yesterday in a much more dramatic scenario. Today, pretty routine as the Phillies beat the Cubs 11-5. Cubs get swept by the team with the worst record in baseball. So not a good weekend for the Chicago Cubs, but Rockies come in tomorrow, another last place team. The Cubs need to turn it around quickly.
Yeah, indeed they do, and they're going to find a way to generate a little more offense. Made some noise here late in this ball game, but we're shackled for the most part by the rookie Nola making just his second major league start, and on the other side of it, just a rare bad one for Jason Hamill. He's been so consistent, and hopefully that hamstring is not acting up. We'll see as we move forward.
So Phillies 11, Cubs 5, your final, and we'll be back in a moment.